doing the can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I just kind of was doing what basically any young up and coming fighters doing. You know, I was at the time was working, taking care of my family, and training when I could. I had a first shift job, get my kids from school, and we hit the gym, and just day by day, we get a call from one of the local promoters, and the promoters will say, "Hey, we got a fight date this day," and we pick up the training. Just inching our way up the ladder, trying to fight for getting one of them belts and financial stability to really and truly follow my dream.
And you're 27 years old. You're 5-0. So, what a lot of fight fans don't know about you, Timothy, is that you have an extensive amateur career, man. You have like 100 fights in the amateur region, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. Like people think that I just quit 2 jobs and jumped on the Anthony Joshua bandwagon on social media.
Yeah.
And told him I was short and chunky and I could fight. No, man. I've been fighting since I was on my 12th birthday. Actually, I went to the boxing gym with my father. My father used to train, and my father took me to the boxing gym when I was 12 initially because I played football, and I wanted to drop a few pounds so that I could carry the football. But one thing led to another, and I lost my first few amateur fights, and then I started winning, and it was more of a satisfaction when I got my hand raised to know that I did it. It was me. It wasn't so much the team effort.
Mm-hmm.
When you win in football, basketball, it's a team effort. When you win in boxing, it's still a team effort, but at the end of the day, it's you in the ring fighting. So I got a little bit more satisfaction out of that, and I had been fighting. I won the state and the regional silver gloves. I won the state and the regional junior Olympics, and I won the golden gloves in the junior division and the state men's Indiana Golden Gloves championships, and also won it in the tri-state region. And I went to nationals in 2017 finally. And I lost in the first round up there to the guy who made it all the way to the semifinals. So I've only had a few losses, and it's crazy how when you have so many amateur fights and you have such few losses, you can name off the people you lost to.
Yeah, wow. So, yep, true.
I lost to some really credible people. I never had a loss to where I had lost to somebody who I shouldn't have lost to. Everybody I lost to, I either was fighting up or they were more experienced or older. You know what I mean? So some names I fought in the amateurs was Joshua Temple.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely. I fought him in the actually in the under 19 national championships. I made it to the finals, and that was my best year. I made it to the finals, and I was number 2 in the nation in the under 19 division. And I lost to Joshua Temple. I lost to a guy out of Chicago named Robert Jacobson in 2012 who made it to the Olympic trials. And, I fought a lot of people. I was supposed to fight Big Mike Hunter, but that didn't go through as an amateur because of a financial situation. I couldn't make it to the tournament. But, I had a very extensive background of fighting amateurs and training, so I've been doing it for a while.
So first of all, congrats on providing me that backstory, that information, man, because I wasn't the ones who was thinking you just popped up out of nowhere and was able to go train Joshua. I pretty much understood you had an extensive amateur career, and people just look at the frequency of these heavyweights. Some are being pushed harder than others. Are you looking to fight like twice a year? You know what I'm saying? Being that you are undefeated.
I'm looking to stay quite busy. It's just that, in the beginning phase of boxing, right? The opponent, selling tickets, and your opponent. When you're not signed to a big promoter, it's a lot that goes into getting your opponent to show up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, quite honestly, I would like to fight, 3-4 times a year if I could, just to build myself up. I think that's a good pace, about 4 times a year, and inch my way into the rankings.
Any specific names, that you have your crosshairs on, that you would like to face at this point in time?
Not at this point in time. At this point in time, it's more or less me building and learning. Even with a lot of amateur experience, I think that one thing that people make the mistake on, being young amateur prospects and young amateur standouts, is that transition between pro and amateur is a big transition.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain things that you can't do as a pro that you can do as an amateur. So I think that, and I learned a lot in these first few fights, these 5 fights that I had. I've learned a lot in those fights, and I know that I have a lot more to learn when it comes to professional boxing. So as of right now, I have no specific names that I would like to fight, but it's just about me building as of right now. And then once I get to 10-0, 11-0, 12-0, when we do another interview, I definitely have some names for you.
I definitely respect that, man. I understand. The professional ranks is a process, man, and you the one splitting the ropes, not me. So you only know about the plan that's ahead. You know what I'm saying? But you sound like you have a pretty solid projection on where you're trying to go in boxing, which is great. I want to ask you there, Timothy. Once you somewhat was able to get the connection to come out and spar, and emulate Andy Ruiz, for that rematch, how did that go down? How did they look up Timothy Moten out of Kentucky, 5-0 heavyweight? How did they say, okay, this is going to be a solid sparring partner for Anthony Joshua?
So I reached out to, basically, I had my following and my friends and family and my fans here in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
I had them, jump on the phones and the social media, and the first Anthony Joshua versus Ruiz fight, I had them spam the pages, but they didn't do it as heavy as I wanted them to. So
all right.
And
so you were trying to get on for the first one, huh?
Yeah, the first one the way I went about it was a little like last minute.
Okay.
So I have a Facebook friend and a friend. He's actually a heavyweight that's up in the rankings. Joey DeWico. He was in camp the first time, and I seen on his Facebook that he was going to camp with Joshua for the Ruiz fight, and I knew that I could be an asset. So I reached out to Joey, and Joey actually was like, I'll talk to some people there and, see if I can get you to come down. But, it's the last 2 to 3 weeks of camp, so I doubt they'll bring anybody else in. So I got that information from him, and, the tragedy happened where AJ lost and Andy Ruiz upset him. And I knew that I said I had to start early with this next time of trying to get into camp.
Mm-hmm.
So, ever so often, every other day, I'd have everybody, when they were pushing the press conference for the fight number 2, I'd have everybody jump on a page or a picture and push it and, just say, hey, let's get Tim and Mayhem in the camp. Let's get Mayhem in the camp. He'll be a good asset. The first person to get back to me was Eddie Hearn, and it was the New York press conference. I'm not gonna forget the picture. I'm not gonna forget the day, but it was the New York press conference. They had just posted the face-off between the two, Ruiz and Joshua, and I had posted on Eddie Hearn's picture, and I said that it's not getting to him. You know, it's too many comments on the picture. It's not getting to him.
Okay.
So what I ended up doing was I found David Ganza, which is KD, which I looked up. I Googled a picture of Anthony Joshua's team, and I looked for the closest person to Anthony Joshua that he was consoling for this victory when he had first won all the belts with Klitschko. And it was KD, David Ganza, and I found him on Instagram, and I DM'd him, and I commented on a few of his pictures, and I seen that he read my message, but he didn't reply back. Eddie Hearn replied back. Well, fast forward to me finally getting to camp, I ended up hearing about how that happened on their end. Was Eddie Hearn had bought the Wi-Fi for the airplane, so he was the one that could talk to me on the plane. He was the first one to message me, and the first message he messaged me was, "We love what we see. We'll be in contact." And whenever the plane touched down in London, KD, my brother KD, got in contact with me, and he asked me if I could be on the plane in 2 weeks to get to London, for training camp. And, I got on the plane, and the rest is history, man.
Did they see footage of you? What did he mean when he say, "We like what we see"? Did they like the aesthetic, you fit in the mold of Andy Ruiz, or did they look at some boxing footage?
Oh, okay, so Eddie Hearn said he's seen me on the heavy bag and the way that I was working the heavy bag and ran my punches, and I also sent footage to Eddie Hearn, and I sent footage to KD of my first 5 fights.
Okay.
So they seen the footage. They seen me hitting the bag. I only have 5 pro fights, so I went back into my last 3 or 4 amateur fights as well, and I sent them to him as well. To let him know, hey, I studied Ruiz. Ruiz is the reason I knew it was perfect was because Ruiz is the guy of this era that I study of heavyweight to be successful, because we are around the same height, and he has been successful with fighting and beating these bigger guys.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the guy that I studied. So I knew that this would be an opportunity for me to test myself against, if not the best heavyweight of this era, Anthony Joshua. It would be a great test for me to test myself against him to see if I really had, what it took. Do I have what it takes to compete at that level? How will I fare against the guy like this? It was perfect. I was ready to know, So they seen, some footage of me, and they brought me out to camp.
Man, so you head out to camp, man, for the first time on the largest platform of your boxing career, man. Outside the amateurs turning professional. So you heading over there for the former unified champion Anthony Joshua, which is one of those fighters that has only stepped outside the UK perimeter once. Okay, and that's when he fought Andy Ruiz and lost. So you heading over to camp, you touched down. What was the conversation like, man? What was the energy like finally stepping in there and seeing Anthony Joshua, the former unified champion, Olympian? What was the conversation like with y'all, man?
Man, so the first thing that he said, but first of all, man, he's him, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. These guys are massive. These guys are huge. So the aura and the energy that they bring when they come forward, their confidence, it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
So me being a man from Louisville, Kentucky, I have that lineage behind me as far as Muhammad Ali, and I run off of that. I feed off of that. But I've never competed at a level, at Olympic or World Championship level. So, I'm coming in like a wide-eyed kid to learn. So the first thing he said to me, man, I went up to him, I thanked him. I was like, man, thank you for this opportunity. This is great. I'm here to help you. You know what I mean? Like this is a great opportunity for me. And the first thing he said to me was, "This is gonna do you good, and this is gonna do me good." He's like, "So let's work." So I said, "Okay, say less." And on the way from the airport there, I was also told by we call him the Don, Nas. I was told by Nas that don't get engulfed in the fact that you're in camp with Anthony Joshua. Just you have to try to look at it. I know it's gonna be hard, but
like you've been here before.
Yeah, like you've been here before, and that this is just another sparring session for you to get good work. And I don't care what anybody says. Being a boxing fan first and a fighter second. Because I was a boxing fan before I was a fighter. So being a boxing fan first and a fighter second, it's really hard to do that because you know where you're at, you know what he's done, you know what he has, what he's trying to get back. It's just a big process. But God blessed me to, when I stepped in the ring and we sparred that first time, I didn't get blown away. I didn't get stopped. I didn't get knocked down, and I was there to help. I had skills to obviously pay the bills to compete with him, so that I could help him. I was there for my purpose, and I fulfilled my purpose, what they were looking for, which is why I was in camp for 3 months.
So who were you able to take over to that camp with you? Did you have just Joshua people in your corner helping you get gloved up for the sparring session?
Yeah. So when I went there, man, the vibe, the feeling, it was family oriented.
Okay.
So when I went, it wasn't like, you get your own gloves on, you do this, you do that. I think they kind of baby brothered me in. I was the youngest person there. Everybody else was older than me. All the other people that he had brought to camp were established. Andrew Tabiti, Bryant Jennings, Hussein Muhammad. All of these heavyweights and Bryant and Andrew Tabiti, all of these guys that he had brought in, Derek Chisora, these guys he had brought in were already established, been in the game, and know what's up. Like I was new to it, but I'm talented. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I was still good enough to help him out and help him go forward with accomplishing his goals. So when I got there, it wasn't nothing like you tie your own gloves. I mean, Coach Angel Fernandez came straight over, helped me tie my gloves. Coach Joby came over, and he would be in my corner when we were working. And, they would tell me different things that they wanted to see me try to work and emulate that I was already doing, just, more of this, more of that. You know what I mean? So it was a great atmosphere.
So you was naming off some familiar names, Tabiti, Derek Chisora, and so forth. On that day that you spar Anthony Joshua for the first time, were you up first, or were you able to see other fighters go in there and spar?
I was the only one. I kicked the camp off.
Okay. All right.
So originally, I was supposed to be there. It was like an assessment. So I got there the first week of camp started. So when I got there, it was going to see, hey, let's see if this guy's even good enough to keep around for when we have everybody else come in.
Okay, so I got you.
I got there, and I sparred on a Tuesday. They said, okay, he did good that day. Let's see if he can hold it up, because it's a lot. Getting out and sparring 3 times a week and keeping the same energy to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
correct.
You're taking some good shots. Like, you're taking some good shots to be able to keep and maintain that intensity that he needs. Is rough, and they wanted to see if I could do it even for 1 week. And I completed that first week. And they told me, we're gonna cancel your ticket to go back home for the following week. We want you to stay a little longer. So I did it again the second week, and then the third week, my now everybody from the campus is like brothers. It's like a brotherhood now because the third week, my good friend Elvis Garcia, he came to camp. And Elvis Garcia was there, and then it was me and Elvis, changing off how the sparring went. And then after Elvis came, then Hussein came, and then after Hussein came, everybody else started flowing in and trading out. But the only one that's been in camp the whole time was me, and then other than me, Elvis Garcia stayed. He was there. I was there for about 12, 13 weeks. He was there for about 10 or 11.
So stepping in there, getting the opportunity, Timothy, I know you wasn't going 100. Okay. You weren't maximizing the sparring session, but especially the first time, you probably was trying to see how hard, you needed to go. But how did it feel? Did you being in there with a former unified champion, now current unified champion, right? Did you feel that he had a little bit less or more punching power than you initially thought?
So it's different types. I know from fighting so many amateur fights, from being around so many different older coaches around the city that had been that was around coaching when Ali was around, and James Pritchard, all of these guys that have came through here, and speaking of coaches outside of the box, outside of the city, I know that there's different types of power. There's the type of power that it takes an accumulation of shots to knock you out. Kind of like Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury doesn't have that Deontay Wilder hit you one time, you go to sleep.
Yeah.
Tyson Fury has knocked out people, but he's done it with an accumulation of punches.
Correct.
He's just hitting you, and you can't stand no more. So Joshua has that ability to hit you one time, and you are out. Good night. Definitely. Every shot from him knowing how to throw his punches and everything has some type of power on it. But when he does sit down on his shot, it's game time. Like he can put you to sleep.
Hey, how many rounds were you able to spar the first time you stepped in there?
6.
Okay, y'all went a cool six hard rounds.
Yeah. So it was a good 6 solid rounds. Because you got to think, it was the first week of camp. He had already been training. Like, as soon as he lost and he came back, he was already started back training, like, maybe 2 weeks after the fight, the first Andrew Ruiz fight. So he never really broke camp. So he got in there. We did a good, solid 6. I mean, from first bell to last. And he really, you could tell that he was trying to see if I was going to be good enough to give him what he needed.
Okay.
Because by this time, everybody, that's what I try to explain to everybody. By this time, you got to realize this man just lost his belt. He realizes how much they were important to him, and he needs everybody around him to be sharp and to be there to help him get these belts back. So it's not like he's getting in there and we're just throwing fairy jabs at each other. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
he got it. Yeah, that first session we got in there, he was there to see if I was there to stay.
So what was the coaches that was there? Is it true that he actually changed up, part of his team after the first loss in preparation for this rematch?
Well, he didn't change it. From what I know, he didn't change anything on his team. He just added to it.
Oh, okay.
So Coach Rob was still the head coach, but he added Angel Fernandez and Joby, and it was you couldn't have asked for a better situation. Angel Fernandez and Joby and Coach Rob meshed so well that it's crazy. So this situation in his corner is brilliant. It's great. They are both wise, and they both have their own lanes and styles, and they just go together so well for Joshua that it's going to breed nothing but success for him.
Hey, is anybody stepping in there like yourself, Timothy, to be able to spar the heavyweight world champ? Was it a point of you that really wanted to get off, that kind of, set some traps yourself to see if the champ was, to test your own skill set as a fighter? Was it points in the sparring session that you said, you know what, I'm going to try to step my game up and see how good I am in this sparring session where I have the opportunity?
Definitely. Every time I got in there, I was throwing. I was cracking. I was trying to show that I was you know, an asset to the team.
Yeah.
To show that you know, I'm an up and coming heavyweight prospect, and to show that I can fight. I already, you know, there wasn't a lot of people to come in, but towards the end of camp, you know, there was a lot of he was, you know, basically we've already beat, you know, basically in camp where you start slowing down because the fight's getting close. You know, some people came in to watch, some real important people, some of the sparring sessions, and you know, he would always say, you know, hey, we still working like it's the first day of camp. Still working like it's the first day of camp. So not only did I want to show AJ and leave an impression on AJ and leave an impression on Coach Rob and Joby and Angel and an impression on Eddie Hearn and you know, Freddie, his management team. I wanted to leave an impression to show that, you know, I'm here. Like,
yeah, I totally get it.
I'm able to compete at this level when and right now, you know, I compete at this level now, but I will be able to compete at this level with a little bit of time and you know, learning in the game. You know, a little bit of fight that, you know, hey, this guy's got potential. That's what I wanted them to see. So when I got in there, I would set traps. I would, you know, shoot some torque on some of my hooks, some of my overhand right. You know, not only to show that I was there and I got potential, but to show that I was an asset to the team. Because I know Andy Ruiz wasn't going to get in there and throw any fluff punches at him.
Yeah. What ounce gloves were y'all sparring with?
18.
18s? Okay. That's about right.
Yeah.
You know, in between those sparring sessions there, Timothy, what was the physical training like? Were you able to go on some runs with Anthony Joshua and the team? What?
Definitely. Not the first week, but the second week. So typically, farm partners come in and they just start. They work out on their own. I think that I was different. I feel like I'm different than anybody else in boxing as far as my mentality, as far as my personality, as far as everything. So when I got there, I wasn't one for having me train myself on them days and then me just spar. You know, I kind of was like, hey, what time are y'all getting up to run?
Yeah.
I'm there.
Okay.
Hey, what time are y'all doing SC? I'm there. So, hey, what time are y'all doing, you know, rehabilitation? I'm there. You know, I want to soak up everything to the camp so that I know how to run my own camp, so that I know what I need to do different to compete at this level. And I think that they really took to that. So, you know, I did everything I basically went through a camp and did everything that he did.
I can tell you this, Timothy. I also have to ask, during that time you was over there training, man, it didn't seem like you was on social media a lot. Like you posted the pics, you know, smiling from ear to ear that you had been accepted into the camp. But once you was there, I didn't see you on social media a lot. How was family? Did they reach out to you, your friends and everything, and try to get day-to-day updates?
Oh yeah. So I spoke to my fiance every day. I spoke to my kids every day, every night. I spoke to my dad and my trainer and my mother. So those are the main people I spoke to. I didn't really speak to a lot of other people. They would try to inbox me and stuff, and when I could get around to it, when I was down in the hotel, I would. But for the most part, it was just you know, just my intermediate family that I spoke to. I would speak to them daily. But as far as social media, I would try to, you know, post and comment here and there. But I was really focused on learning and focused on getting my rest, because one thing I learned up there is that rest is one of the most important things you can have in camp. So when I wasn't training, I was resting or eating.
Yeah. I totally agree with all that, man. You know, it's discipline. You know, you got to have some discipline. And you know, how was the UK energy, you know, as far as the environment, being over there training for such a big fight, and being that Joshua is somewhat like the UK golden child when it comes to boxing? How was that like for you?
Well, you know, he doesn't have his camp in London. He has his camp in another part of UK, in Sheffield. So Sheffield to me was kind of like Louisville.
Okay.
So it was just like I was at home. Um, the people there know that Anthony Joshua's in camp, but he trains at EIS, and that's where he trained at for the Olympics and everything. So it's kind of like, hey, it's AJ, but it's not like swarming him to where he can't get his work done. You know what I mean? It's just like everybody knows him, and everybody knows that he's going to be here for the fires of the camp. So it wasn't too much of a big deal until we left Sheffield and went to Saudi Arabia. Then that's when I seen how much of a megastar he really is.
Speaking of Saudi Arabia, man, that was the first time, and not only the first time you stepping on the grounds, you was able to step on the grounds with, a two-time champion, right? I know he haven't won the belts yet, but you was over there with the team. Man, speak about that experience over there in such an area of the world that a lot of people aren't able to visit. They don't have that entry point to say, okay, let me go over here just to visit on vacation. But you went over there for one of the biggest fights ever in that footprint.
It was unreal. So, we definitely have an idea from what the media shows us of what Saudi Arabia is. But when I got there, it was completely different. Like, I was able to, it felt like I was actually like in like Florida or somewhere like that, or Miami. You know what I mean? Like palm trees and everything. It was.
Oh, is that right?
The experience. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. The experience was crazy. I enjoyed it. I got to meet a few of the princes. It was awesome. I mean, it was they treated us with nothing but respect. I mean, they held us like they treated us like we was Anthony Joshua.
Oh, okay, that's what's up.
Yeah, so it's like, we're his sparring partners, so you guys are professional fighters too. Oh, okay, well, come on, let's do this. I mean, people knew we wasn't from there when we were walking around the streets. And it's like, hey, how do you like Saudi Arabia? Like, everybody asking us, like, do you like the country? Is the country treating you well? Is everybody treating you well? Come into my shop, have a free cup of coffee, or come in, have a free plate of food, or, you know what I mean? Like, we got to, I got to meet up with Moten, Napoleon Bill from the Outlaws.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Met up with him and went to his barbecue joint, which was great. Had free food there, sat down, just talked with him, and it was an overall experience. I went to the desert, seen camels, got to see the 4-wheelers. It was just an overall great, wonderful experience. Priceless.
So you actually have Americans and other, citizens from different countries that have businesses over there in Saudi.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Like, you got Muta, you got a lot of different people who come and settle and establish their businesses there.
What was the gym like, man, in preparation for the fight, man, to do the shakeouts and everything? Was it respectable? Because I know they built up the entire arena.
Oh yeah,
pretty quickly.
It was better than some of the gyms that I've been to in the United States.
Okay.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Because I know they're pretty wealthy over there. I was just saying, did they spend the money on the equipment or they just set it up?
Oh yeah, brand new heavy bags, speed bags, double M bags. The ring was great. Yeah, it was all around. It was everything was done 5-star quality.
So once y'all get near the fight there, Timothy, it's time for Joshua to do the ring walk and everything, man. What was going through? Were you able to go down to the ring walk, or you were sitting down in the stand?
Oh no, I was sitting in the stand. I was sitting in the stand at this time. I didn't get to do the ring walk. The ring walk was just him, and then he met up with his coaches and everything, like maybe like 2/3 of the way.
All right. Okay.
Of the ring walk, but the ring walk was really just him, and then was like the flashing lights and everything. But afterwards, though, when he was up in the ring, and I was celebrating inside the ring with him.
So, I wanted to ask about Ruiz, man. I know you had some pictures with Andy Ruiz. Did you see physically that he was a little bit heavier? Being that you pretty much had that visual of the first fight and him going in there looking pretty dominating as he did and active. He was punches in bunches, so to speak, and he was able to consume Joshua in certain pockets of the fight. When you saw him in Saudi Arabia, did he have on clothes that kind of gave you the indication he wasn't in the best shape for that fight?
No, he had on a thobe. He had on a thobe, which is like a long robe.
Okay.
But what I understand about Andy Ruiz's build is the reason I understand this is because my build is the same. Guys of our stature, the way that we're built, we can hold a lot of weight, and it won't look like we're holding a lot of weight. Because that's what I was telling people in camp. Like they were like, "Oh, he's done shed down, he's dropped weight," and people were writing me, "Hey, Ruiz has dropped weight," and I got kind of tired of saying it, but he can look like he's down to 240, 250.
All right.
But he can actually be 280. I knew when I seen him, I said, when somebody of our stature is down to 250, 260, you can see little small different giveaways that, hey, this guy's in shape. But he didn't have those. He didn't give away those gifts. Like when I seen him, I knew that he was going to be big. It's just you get to a red line. So guys that are built like us can carry a certain amount of weight and still be effective. But if you hit that red line, which he hit, which is anything above the 280s, you hit that red line. It can be troublesome for you.
When the first half of okay, go ahead.
So when I seen him, no, he didn't look like he weighed 280, but I knew that he could still have a possibility he still could be heavy.
So he wasn't around there in Saudi, eating melted Snicker bars and all that, eating ice cream on the eve of stepping in there to defend his titles, huh?
Believe it or not, I've seen him twice in Saudi.
Oh, twice, man. They was out of sight then.
So I think that his preparation and the way I think the seriousness of this fight, I don't think he took this fight super, super serious. I think that he was more or less excited about the fact that he had 2 great paydays, and he was just going to get in there and do what he had to do, and what happened. I think that's the kind of attitude he had, because I was at the gym all the time when he was in Saudi, and I only seen him twice. They said that he kept the same sleep schedule, because the hours are different. He kept the same sleep schedule as if he was in LA, which really would have messed him up for the actual fight. You have to get acclimated to that sleep time over in Saudi, and he didn't. I don't think he did. So I don't think that's the reason he did. Either that, or he just didn't go to the gym at all. He was just eating that Saudi food.
Wow. That's just unbelievable that, he was fighting for a country, first Mexican heavyweight and everything. And for him to go back into that fight and get all that exposure and get the money to go with it there, Timothy, and not take it serious enough to train and go in there and look as better, as more competitive as we were expecting him to be against Anthony Joshua second time around. Do you think that extracted a little bit of the prestige in Joshua, regaining his belts from Andy Ruiz? When Andy Ruiz, obviously didn't take the fight serious. He didn't take his nutrition serious. So much speculation about his camp, saying he wasn't in the gym all the time. Do you think that kind of extract or devalue the victory and Joshua regaining his titles back?
No, I think that it's still because Andy Ruiz is still dangerous. Real boxers, real coaches, people that really know boxing know that man was still dangerous. He's still a dangerous heavyweight. He's still a top heavyweight. So I think that people who know boxing know that man went out there, changed up his game plan, adjusted, and won his title tag. The way that the fighter's supposed to do.
I myself, I'll be absolutely honest, I thought Anthony Joshua, for the fight to be in Saudi and the magnitude, I think it kind of fell short of the expected outcome. And you know, I've watched Anthony Joshua. I've been a bit critical of him being a little bit predictable and robotic as a fighter. You know what I'm saying? But he was able to go in there and successfully get his titles back from Andy Ruiz. But I look at it like it would have been good if Andy gave that same performance that he had when he won the titles. If he had that same high energy, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, because they, you know, even myself, you know, they looking at him as the Mexican Buster Douglas. You know, he just went in there and didn't try to take risks and go all out to defeat Anthony Joshua a second time. Because if he would have, it would have just catapulted his career to a whole nother stratosphere.
Right. Exactly. It would have. He'd have been a Mexican heavyweight great.
So after the fight, man, I saw y'all in the ring talking, you know, jumping up and down, celebrating. Was there an after party, you know, in Saudi Arabia that you can speak on without any self-incrimination? You know what I'm saying?
No. No after party for us. We actually, the sparring partners and the guys that was with us, we actually all beelined it to the airport to make our flight home.
Oh wow, y'all left that early, huh?
Yeah. So we celebrated, and we celebrated it in the ring with him. Shook his hand, gave him our love, and we beelined it out of there to make it to the airport.
True words, man. So the experience for you, definitely a good look on your portfolio. You know what I'm saying? I gotta ask you this on a different level, dealing with the heavyweight fighters that's at the top tier of the division. From what we hearing, Joshua next opponent will be Kubrat Pulev. Will you see yourself going out there helping him for that particular sparring, or are they gonna get a different type?
I hope so. I hope I will. I think that I may be out there maybe for the first 2 or 3 weeks, but I don't think that I'll be there for the full 3 months like I was last time. Like I said, my style is more of an Andy Ruiz type style, and I was perfect for that camp. I think that I'll definitely give him some great work so that he can sharpen himself up. But I don't know if I'll be there for the full duration of the camp.
Okay, and I forgot to ask you this: did you and Eddie Hearn ever have a conversation, man, a dialogue about anything while you was over there?
Definitely.
Is he cooler? Is he cooler than what he is on the media, or you know, he just spoke to you?
He's a really cool guy. I like Eddie Hearn. If Eddie ever, you know, if we ever got a chance to, well, when we get the chance to work with Eddie Hearn, I'm gonna be really happy to work with him, man. He's a really good guy from what I spoke to and I talked to him, and you know, he's a really cool guy.
That's what's up. You know, my guy in the heavyweight division is Deontay Wilder, and he's coming up with a fight in Tyson Fury for a rematch. How do you see, as a heavyweight yourself, how do you see this rematch playing out between the WBC champion and the challenger Tyson Fury, February 22nd?
Well, I think Wilder's going to have to do what Joshua did. I think he's going to have to adjust. I think that he's seen that Tyson Fury has the ability to box. Yeah. And I don't think that he can let those early rounds go like he does, or he did with Ortiz and he did with Tyson Fury. Mm-hmm. I think that he's going to have to go out there and he's going to have to put those bombs he got on his hand on that man's chin. Because Tyson Fury knows he's got to be in shape to run and box for 12 rounds. Yeah. And that's the only way he can beat Deontay. He ain't got no chance of knocking that man out. And if he engages with Deontay, he knows it's a high percentage, and he's gonna get his chin touched. Do you think Tyson Fury? I don't mean to cut you off, but do you think Tyson Fury being knocked out the way he was the first time, right, and being that he was pretty much advocated as being the more technically sound boxer, he's now saying that he may potentially knock out Deontay Wilder in 2 rounds. Do you think that's
concussion protocol, the residual effect of him just being hit too hard for him to say that?
I think that he's doing what he does best, and that's hyping the fight.
Okay, he's just hyping the fight. I got it. Now, I got to ask you a tough question, Timothy, between Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, being that Deontay has dropped all his opponents that he's faced. Do you believe that Anthony Joshua has a chance to withstand that bronze bomber power if they ever faced off in the ring? And do you see that fight happening?
I don't see the fight happening.
Okay.
Because I think that I don't know. I think if the fight would have happened, it would have happened already.
Oh, so you saying that Anthony Joshua facing his mandatories and then potentially Alexander Usyk, that's going to pretty much take up the whole entire 2020 and it's never going to come back to fruition?
If it does, it'll be mid to late 2020.
Okay.
But I think that if the fight does happen, I'm just gonna say that it's gonna be, because you gotta think, AJ can box and he can hit, and Deontay can hit and he can box. So I think it'll be 50-50.
Okay, 50-50 with Joshua's chin. You think Joshua Chin can handle that, being knocked down by Andy Ruiz, Vladimir Klitschko? I mean, do you believe if Deontay is able to connect with his right or his left, Joshua will be able to get up from that?
I think you would, but you gotta take into consideration too that Deontay got hurt by Ortiz.
Yeah, but he never went down though. He never touched the knee though.
No, he never went down. But Joshua still got that finisher in him. He still was at one time. Everybody, called him the finisher. That guy would finish you. Yeah. So I don't know, because both of them can hit extremely hard, and both of them can box. So I think it's gonna be one of those days where who's gonna be the better man that day.
Man, I hope we're able to see that fight, because in 2018 when all negotiations was taking place, it ended up falling through. But like I tell everybody who tune in, Deontay Wilder, in my opinion, is the best heavyweight in the division. Until Joshua steps up to attempt to unify or act like he wants to fight Deontay Wilder, the question mark is still going to be out there lingering. Like, is Anthony Joshua better than Deontay Wilder, who's going in there for his 11th defense next month? I hope we're able to see that fight, man. I hope it comes together somehow, some way. And like I was telling people too, I was like, when Anthony Joshua was undefeated, him and Deontay Wilder potentially could have been one of the biggest fights in boxing. All right. Now that he lost and regained the titles, I still believe, because of the history, that they can still be one of the biggest fights in boxing. Even with that one loss, even with that one loss, I believe it can be one of the biggest fights in boxing.
I do too.
We just don't know, Timothy, if where it would be, first and foremost, like if it's ever going to get signed, and where would this fight actually take place? In order for it to, to be the big money fight, I believe it's potentially should go down in the U.S. What's your thoughts on that? You think UK or US?
I think if they want the money, they'll go back to Saudi.
Wow, take the fight over there. I mean, without the star-studded celebrity, I know Saudi's got money. I know it's a lot of money over there, but we're talking about the fan base paying to see the fight. What do you think that PPV would be like? You think that PPV can be charged like Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather, close to $100, or what do you think the price point would be?
Yeah, I think they could charge Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather prices, and I think if they did, it should be over. It would be great for it to be over in America, but you got to think it'd have to come down to like looking at the size of the arena, who sold the most, what is Joshua. I know he's a huge name in London.
Yeah,
huge name. I mean, he's a super mega star there. Would Americans come out to support Deontay Wilder like they do Anthony Joshua. That's what you have to answer. The stars will come out. The real boxing fans will come. Shoot, I would even make a flight and catch a flight and get myself to that fight. But with like regular Americans come out like regular people in London would. You know what I mean?
I mean, the
So I
MGM.
can't come down and thinking about that.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, man. You know, the MGM, man, for Deontay Wilder and Luis Ortiz was absolutely packed. I mean, the place was frenetic, man. It was chaos in there. Hey, it was just like your name there, Timothy. It was mayhem up in there, man. You know what I'm saying? It was mayhem up in there. So, you know, for Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, the clash, man, I think it'll do solid numbers either way. But I'm just not sure if the people that's the shakers and movers will be able to come to a suitable conclusion on where the fight location should be, you know, for the big money.
Right.
It's all about the money. Boxing is a business first. And for a fight of that magnitude, man, we have to pick the right venue.
Definitely.
So are you back, man? You say you quit your job, man. Hey, first of all, for those of you just tuning in, man, I'm speaking to Timothy Moten, man, heavyweight fighter, undefeated. He had the opportunity, you know, a lot of you all saw him on social media, and what you saw with him, you know, saying he got accepted to go into the fight camp for Anthony Joshua in preparation for the rematch with Andy Ruiz. But what you didn't know, the man has an extensive amateur pedigree also, without that many losses to his amateur pedigree. So he has 100 amateur fights. And he did his due diligence. He didn't wait around. He seized the moment, and him and his team made the call over there and ended up being accepted to go into camp. And also what he mentioned earlier in this live was that there was some other champs, some other boxers over there that you know that was also training. So one point I want to ask you there, Timothy, you know, in closing, were you able to get your jobs back? Because you said you quit your jobs to go over here and help Joshua train for Andy Ruiz. You know, were you able to get your employment back? Did somebody else, when you got back in town, say, "Hey, man, we'll hire you on, man. Don't worry about it"?
I had a lot of love. I had a lot of love as far as the job situation goes. I was able to pick some jobs back up, and they are more lenient towards my boxing as well. So. Yeah, I was able to get my jobs, and I was able to get back in the work field until I'm at that level of 5-star fighting.
Hey, absolutely, champ. And I want to ask you, when the next time we may see you in 2020 step into the square, man, and will it be, you know, sometime soon?
I think it'll be sometime soon. I think I may have a date in February, so. Stay tuned, and I'll inbox you and let you know when my next day is, and so you can keep up with me, and I can keep up with you guys.
Hey, for sure. What can your fight fans follow you on a social media platform, man?
You guys can follow me on Instagram at mayhem_Moten, and on Twitter at mayhem_Moten92.
There you have it, fight fans. The one and only Mayhem, Timothy Moten, man. He just recently returned off a grand experience over there, you know, going over there to Sheffield and then over to Saudi as one of the premier sparring partners for Anthony Joshua in preparation, you know, for his rematch with Andy Ruiz. My brother, thank you very much for tuning in and allowing World Combat Sports to interview you. And look, it's not the last time, man. The invitation is open. I totally appreciate you dropping in and speaking with me, man. Best wishes to your career and your family and everyone.
Thank you, brother.
All right, take it easy. Take it easy, man.
All right.
What's going on, everyone that's tuned in? Hey, I appreciate y'all stopping through. Y'all been trying to you know, get an interview with one of the team members over there. You know, so I spoke to Timothy Moten, who was able to go over there and get that sparring in with Anthony Joshua and kind of take us to the moment of how it all went down. And you know what? That just goes to show you what it takes to get inside that door, man. You know, his people made some phone calls. He sent some footage over there, And they say, okay, this is after Joey DeWeco, the one who is said to knocked out Anthony Joshua, leading up to the first fight with Andy Ruiz. He was one of the sparring partners. Also, Derek Chisora, Tabiti out of the TMT camp. So it was a variety of names that you're familiar with over there helping with that sparring session. Shout out to Eric Jenkins, man. D Hodges, salute to you. He said whoever lands that one first good punch is over. Tone Bangers, what's good? Salute, man. Um, Omega Red, World Combat Sports has great content, fam. I appreciate it, there, Omega. Thanks for dropping in. Those of you that dropped into the live, man, share the vid. I always appreciate the support. We're trying to get these subscribers up each and every month. So pass the word about subscribing to the YouTube channel. It's much appreciated. But of course, the biggest elephant in the room, so to speak, man, not to be too cliche, is will Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua ever freaking fight? You know what I'm saying? And does freaking Anthony Joshua truly want the smoke with Deontay Wilder? And what I can respect about Timothy, he said he don't think the fight will happen. Now, if he really truly gave his true opinions about why the fight won't happen, we don't know. But I can tell you, if Anthony Joshua is due to face Pulev, and then hearing, I'm just reading what D Hodges said, whoever lands that one good punch is over. What I have to say about Deontay's chin, man, he has a respectable chin. Since his growth in the heavyweight division, we can actually say he has a respectable chin from the shots that's been landed. If you look at his fight with Johan Duhaupas, if you look at what Arthur Spilker was landing on him, man, you look at the fight with Luis Ortiz in the 7th round, 41 seconds into the final tick, he was catching punishment. I mean, flush, hard punishment. And he never dropped to his knees. I would be remiss to say if I didn't sit up here and tell you that I think Joshua's chin is never going to get any better. He didn't have too much of a good chin when he was up in the 245, 250 weight range. And then now he's dropped muscle mass. And we saw him in the first fight with Andy Ruiz where he was dropped. You know what I'm saying? I still say this: Deontay Wilder has the heavy hands in the heavyweight division. He's the heaviest hitter in the heavyweight division, hands down. Can Anthony Joshua apply a punch with enough energy and the right precision and timing to catch Deontay Wilder on the chin and drop him? Hey, like they say, it's a heavyweight division. But from my assessment, you know what I'm saying? I'm just keeping the hundo. Like, from my assessment, from the people who has laid hands on Deontay during the bouts, some of his toughest fights, they wasn't able to get it done. And I feel that they were much more aggressive. They was much more aggressive than I see Anthony Joshua being. That's just my opinion. I know you all got your opinion. You know what I'm saying? D Hodges said, but they don't AJ power. If AJ hit him that much, it's over. Hey, we'll have to see. The one thing I can say about D Hodges is that the energy that I've seen AJ commit in the Klitschko fight around the 4th or 5th round where he just gassed out, we haven't seen that energy with him just keeping his foot to the floor, gassing it with punches, trying to get the opponent up out of there. We haven't seen that in a while. We didn't see it with Carlos Takam. We didn't see it with Joseph Parker. We haven't seen him just gas. We didn't see it with Alexander Povetkin. But what Anthony Joshua has on his resume, though, he does have knockouts. All right? And with those knockouts with different caliber opponents, he has the victims, Dominique Brazil, the Deontay just knocked out in the first round. And then, of course, Dillian White is trying to step up in the freaking trap and get his head taken off, but that probably won't be till later on. He just went the distance with Andy Ruiz, who was extremely immobile a bit than his first time out. So I look at all that and I just factor in the point that Andy Ruiz was right there on center for Anthony Joshua to land jab after jab after jab, and he still went the distance with him. So it would be absolutely intriguing to know if this fight was any closer than it is now in 2020 with Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. And I'm gonna tell you, man, even with his loss and regaining his belts, there are fans out there that are saying the same thing Hard is saying. They saying, hey, AJ hit Deontay, AJ hit Deontay. You know, they actually believe that AJ has a chance to go in here and do something. Me, I don't think so. I truly don't think he has what it takes to hurt Deontay. Seriously. And if he did hurt Deontay, does he have more than 41 seconds? Internal to that frame, 41 seconds to the final to the ticks down to zero. Is Anthony Joshua willing to risk it all and apply pressure like Luis Ortiz? Because we just haven't seen it since the Klitschko fight. Does he have that mentality to go in for the kill? That's my question, people. That's all. D Hard just say I'm a bomb squad all day, but it's heavyweights. Yeah, it is heavyweights. It is heavyweights. And at that heavyweight division, there's no way that I can sit up here and hold myself accountable and say that AJ has remote power to put Wilder in any danger. And I'm not just saying it because I believe firmly that Deontay Wilder is the best heavyweight in the division. I'm saying it based off the performance. You know, to juxtapose the performances of each fighter, Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, I just feel like the more entertaining highlight reels you see out there in the heavyweight division is a bomb squad. You know what I'm saying? They're crushing, brutal. The knockout he just had of Luis Ortiz was just on a whole nother level of sanity. You know what I'm saying? Conscious separation. But y'all know what I'm getting at. It's all good. I respect that, man. I appreciate all y'all that just dropped by for this interview for sure, man. Appreciate the input. I do agree. A lot of those fighters, they didn't have the AJ power, the right uppercut. You know what I'm saying? It was a point in time that AJ basically had knockouts to match his wins. And there was a time when that began to separate a bit. And then, of course, him going the distance for the first time with Joseph Parker. You know what I'm saying? We all know Joseph Parker was in there to survive. And he really didn't put forth the risk, the whoever risk it all get the grand prize. And Joseph Parker, he was just in there to say, oh, I'll be the first to go the distance with Anthony Joshua, even though I'm losing my belt. And then he turned around and make a quick return to face Dillian White and lose that fight too. So now that Anthony Joshua is back at the top tier, as far as champion goes in the heavyweight division, all we want to see right now is the Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, and all the other people that's attached to that lineup. You know, I mean, we have Dillian White that's standing back in the fray. Dominique Brazil has now surfaced and stuck his head out and doing a little bit more trash talking to Dillian White. I didn't mention Luis Ortiz because I just don't see anybody wanting to fight him, people. You know what I'm saying? I wanna put Luis Ortiz's name in there, the only man to step in there with Deontay Wilder twice. Look, I'm talking about twice in the circumstances. Okay, when I mentioned Bermain Stavern, I'm talking about Luis Ortiz, considered one of the second best heavyweights in the division, being avoided by all his collective colleagues. I didn't put him in there because I don't think anybody else want to fight him. The man went in there twice and suffered the same fate. The only thing separated it was what, 3 rounds? The first fight, it was the 10th round. The second fight was the 7th. Vicious, just vicious, just vicious. Bermain Stavern went the distance the first time. And then it was somewhat like an X-Men move the second time they stepped in there, man. But Luis Ortiz is the only man to step in there. He just got annihilated when the end state happened. But he was able to do it. He was able to sign the contract, to get back in there, make the fight interesting, especially the first fight, give the fans what they wanted. But ultimately, at the end of the day, he was stopped. Eric Jenkins said, WCS, I'm not convinced Joshua is great and well and being complete boxer. Really good, yes. And if anybody know, I'm one of those media people that's way back that's been critical of Joshua's robotic, type of style. His 1-2 step back, no 1-2 forward, 1-2 step back, bite to every feint. Hey, look at the Vladimir Klitschko fight. Look how much he bit on the feints that Klitschko was throwing at him. I mean, he was just like irky jerky. He was reacting. He was giving that data that Klitschko needed. That's what he does, man. I just was looking at Joshua as being a very basic, fundamental fighter. A lot of people don't want to talk about it, but it's facts, man. That in the Olympics, he lost that fight. That's not hating. Don't come to me saying it's hating, but in the Olympics, you look at the fight, he was behind. It's no way that he won that gold medal fight. No way. London Olympics, man, come on, bro. Y'all know the deal. Hodges said, and if he KOs AJ become a bomb now. Facts. UK might stop watching boxing. You know what? I really don't like. I always say it all the time. I don't like retread prognostication and put negative connotation on fighters, right? But if Joshua loses again, because Joshua has the mentality that he said if anybody was to win the title, he would have rather Andy Ruiz been the one. Like he was gifting, like he was offering this BS. But if Deontay Wilder is the one who goes in there and smashes Anthony Joshua and takes his belts, you may indeed see a boxing blackout in the UK. For real. Seriously. You might see a blackout for a minute. The zone, the zone may be still operating, but I'm telling you, Anthony Joshua is the boxing golden child over there. If he gets knocked out by Deontay Wilder after the extensive backstory that these two have, you might see, first of all, a banishment of Joshua going into seclusion, just trying to find out what's next. I mean, him outside of being anywhere close to that notoriety that he has right now, I don't know what the hell he's going to do, man. I don't know what the heck Anthony Joshua's life is going to be. I know they've been building him up to be a model and everything like that. But if he loses these belts and they leave the proximity over there and they're over here in the U.S., for one, would Joshua even think about taking a rematch? Will he have enough intestinal fortitude and courage to return to the ring like Ruiz Ortiz did, like Bermain Stavern did, like Tyson Fury is going to do next month? Is it potentially something that Andy Ruiz would entertain? You tell me, man. He said UK might stop watching boxing. Hey, it's possible, man, that the UK may revamp their whole boxing network. I don't know. But I just feel like we were so close to a unification. And now with Kubrat Pulev being in the picture, I see something else going on, man. Like they would do anything and everything to keep these belts over there. And thank God, contractually, they had a rematch clause in there with Andy Ruiz. And a lot of people, including myself, was believing that he may have dropped those belts intentionally. The reason why I say that, when he initially walked to the ring in the first match, his trainer was rubbing the back of his neck, giving the indication to the lens of the camera that something was wrong with Anthony Joshua. And then all this crap came up against Joey DeWeco, potentially knocking Joshua out in training. And then he gets in there and perform like he's just out of water. He's straight out the YMCA with a pair of gloves from Walmart. He acted like he didn't know what he was doing. Like he never really competed in the Olympics. He lacked amateur pedigree. It's another fighter that kind of gave up the belts only to get them back so he can be a 3-time world champion. That was Muhammad Ali when he fought Spinks. I know that firsthand. So it happens in boxing. Don't get it twisted. Don't think a fighter won't allow a fighter to take the belts only to know that they're going to get the rematch in return, and their opponent know that, hey, I'm going to get my belts back, but I just want to give you the opportunity to be a champion. You get it, you be a champion, but we're going to reschedule a bout for us to regain the titles. So now Joshua is 2-time unified champion. Is it a great accomplishment? I wouldn't consider it great because of the performance of Andy Ruiz. You know what I'm saying? But as far as his resume go, okay, kudos to Joshua being 2-time, unified champion. But ultimately, deep down inside, what the boxing fans want to see is what? Him face the other champion for the unification. That's it. D Hodges say, but he lost to Ruiz. That's what he get. He could have got KO'd for 50 mil. You know what? Hey, Hodges, he could have got KO'd for 50 mil. And then on top of that, he would have made another 15, 20 mil on top of that, because that 50 mil wasn't the cap. That 50 mil wasn't all the money he was going to get. Deontay was the only one that was being presented with a freaking $15 million flat fee. Anthony Joshua would have been set to make several million on top of that 50 million that Deontay and his team was going to give Anthony Joshua. And he chose to say, I'm not going to sell my soul or my belts for the 50 million. I know a lot of people, including, Hodges and everybody else on here, we would have sold. Hey, my soul wouldn't have had anything to do with it. I would have went in there and did what I had to do, knowing secure funds already have been verified and confirmed, and I'm freaking 65 million easy, richer. That's a lot of damn money to take a L. What more did you gain from it? You gained a rematch with Andy Ruiz. You made pretty good money. They were saying that Anthony Joshua got paid 85 million. I don't believe those numbers wholeheartedly. I just don't. But I believe he was paid somewhere in between that. Andy Ruiz, I don't believe he just was paid 13 million. I believe he was paid a little bit more than that for him to go in there and take the dive the way he did. What Andy Ruiz did was disgraceful in a way, because if you represent a country who really thrives in boxing, you wouldn't have went in there out of shape. You wouldn't have went in there and been the first Mexican heavyweight and just look like crap and look like a bum and slob and all this. You wouldn't have put your name in the likes of Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who just probably can walk around the public in Mexico, but really the hardcore fans was looking at them like, no, you didn't do what you're supposed to, man. Seriously, Andy Ruiz just went in there and said he was partying too much and everything else. Why waste all time, man? You know what I'm saying? Just vacate. Why waste all time? Why? Because that paycheck was looking good. He got a 2-for-1. He trained for the first one, got the titles, and then the second one, he said, you know what? I really ain't trying to go to training camp to defend these titles anymore. So I'm just going to sit up here and get my Buster Douglas impression, take this L and go out here and buy another Jeep. That's exactly what Andy Ruiz was talking about. Yeah, we'll both lose those belts for 50 million, man. Please look at Charles Martin. Charles Martin came in there and dove in 2 rounds. They paid Charles Martin the biggest check of his life, and he gave up that belt to Anthony Joshua. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even the commentators, when he was in there fighting Andy Konoski, they were still talking about how Charles Martin took that dive. People always seem like it's a forbidden language to talk about a fighter who obviously took a dive. Sergey Kovalev, in my opinion, took a dive against Canelo. You trying to tell me Canelo moving up to light heavyweight, his punching power is much more crucial and much more have much more ramifications to it than Anthony Yard? Lines in the camp? Are you trying to tell me Anthony Yard facing Canelo Alvarez that Canelo Alvarez can go in there and do the same thing Kovalev did to Anthony Yard? Moving up to a fighter who's comfortably at light heavyweight? Hell no. You cannot convince me of that any time of the day. You cannot convince me that Canelo Alvarez has more punching power than Anthony Yard. The way Sergey Kovalev went out and the way I seen him firsthand get his title back is not the same Kovalev that I know that stepped in there and was taken out in the 11th round by Canelo Alvarez. It's just not the case, man. No way. You can't convince me of that. Don Dollar, what's good, man? Salute. Thanks for dropping in, man. Appreciate it. He'll be in Chavez talk. Yeah, man. Definitely. Chavez, man, he just had too large of a freaking silhouette to ever be recognizable. His dad was cut from a different cloth. You know, his son was birthed from the same DNA, but the blood type wasn't as rich as the dad. He was in the DNA lineage. The chromosome strands were closely tied together, but somehow the blood content, the DNA, the entire structure was somehow debilitated. Period. That's what happened to Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Unfortunately, his dad is suffering inside. Like, damn, it would have been nice in retirement, man. Then I'm able to see my son go in here and win that fight against Canelo Alvarez. But he was just a punching bag. Anyway, man, he gets no love today. None. It's all about the bag. Yeah, boxing. Hey, boxing is a business, man. Y'all know what it is. Come on, man. Y'all know boxing is a business. And you know, sometimes you have fighters who you respect. You know, the stepping in the ring, you feel that they're going to go in there and do what's right. But they end up taking the bag and running. We see it all the time, but we just don't want to talk about it. We see it all the time. We see boxers taking that step back on the end of a punch that really didn't land enough to stop them. We see it all the freaking time. What was that fight? Was it Bruce Seldon who took that dive? Barely got hit with a punch. Who took that dive? Amir Khan recently, when I was watching. Look, I was looking at the fight through the lens. I was zoomed all the way in. And Amir Khan, man, took that shot on the thigh because when Terrence Crawford was giving him the business. And he didn't want to turn around and look Terrence in the eye in the ring. He just wanted to stay in the corner acting like he was hurt. He quit. Amir Khan quit. But then you turn around and he's up here fighting for a title, the WBC shenanigan rebound, sparring title, and he goes in there and knocked the guy out. What is that supposed to prove, man? Amir Khan's chin is very, very suspect. Unfortunately, it has nothing to do with the actual physical location of his chin. It just has something to do with a neurological deficiency that he has, that he will continue to get knocked out. Period. He would continue to get knocked out. If it's Danny Garcia, Canelo Alvarez, Amir Khan's chin is suspect. Believe me when I tell you, Anthony Joshua's chin is suspect. Dillian White's chin is suspect. It is, man. Dominique Brazil. Dominique Brazil has been knocked out by two different fighters, man, in the heavyweight division. So look at it however you feel. But if that's the only two losses on your record are by KO, then your chin is suspect in the division that you're fighting in. Um, Khan dived for a bag. Crawford outboxed him. Crawford gave him a boxing lesson. And, Crawford was all about turning up that night, man. He was really in there to prove a point against Amir Khan. Almost the same way he did on the second half with Mean Machine. Crawford was active. He was still boxing. He didn't look wild. And he was giving Amir Khan the act. He was demonstrating on Amir Khan. And Amir Khan couldn't get no freaking rhythm. And when that punch came and Amir Khan said, "Oh, man, this is my ticket," he bowed out after being knocked down. And he said, "You know what? I'm going to go up here and act like it was a low blow." Though he's standing up in the corner, right? And the referee's trying to get him to turn around. Amir Khan was facing out to the audience. And then they stopped the fight. It was total BS, yo. Seriously. Total BS. But I need to talk about some more positive boxing stuff that's going on. I appreciate everybody stopping through. Julian Williams stepping back in there against Jason Rosario. I believe that's going to be a pretty solid competitive fight for several rounds. Seriously. I try to tell people he went in there and gave Jerry Hurd a good account of himself on who he is as a fighter. And he just basically betted all the doubt that people was giving him when Jamal Charlo stopped him. I mean, that night, I'm saying Julian Williams, he boxed masterful. He's seen every freaking thing, every freaking punch that Jerry Hurd was speaking of. When Jerry Hurd tried to press, Julian's like, "No, I'm in control of this fight." So him stepping in there with Jason Rosario, man, the only commonality of opponents, like I said before, is Nathaniel Gallimore. Seriously. Nathaniel Gallimore defeated Jason Rosario. And of course, we know Julian Williams defeated Nathaniel Gallimore. When it comes down this tomorrow night, this is going to be a step-up fight for Rosario. He's in there with the real one in the hometown Philly. It ain't no way this going to the cards and it's going to be Rosario's favor. So him and his team has to understand what they need to do. And I'm pretty sure they've watched plenty of film, plenty of real time of the knockout that Jamal Charlo delivered. But hey, Jason Rosario ain't Jamal Charlo. Let's get that clear. Jason Rosario is not Jamal Charlo. Just because he was able to land the right uppercut, that don't mean J-Rock because he took some punishment against Jerry Hurd. That doesn't mean he's going to go in there and stop old boy. Shout out to J-Rock, man. Get that victory. And, you have Chris Colbert, primetime, formerly known as Lil B-Hop. He's going to be taking on Corrales on the undercard. It's an extensive card, man. Y'all need to just stay tuned and check it out. He's going to win J-Rock. Yeah, I'm going for J-Rock for real. J-Rock is in his hometown, and I agree he's definitely going to show out tomorrow. I wish I could have been at that fight. But, I'm in preparation for the biggest fight in 2020 and some other regional cards because I still cover regional cards too outside of the big cards. You can never, abandon the grassroots because that's where all the superstars at. That's where all the diamonds start to form. And the regional cards are exciting to watch, man. It may not be the bigger names, but you get to meet some of the rising stars that's in the sport. Y'all know what it is. Got to get rid of that Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury fight. It's going to be insane. You know what I'm saying? But the UFC is popping off. I'll probably come back later on and kind of talk about the projection of some specific fights that's going on in mixed martial arts, from Conor McGregor, him going here against Cowboy Cerrone, to Israel Adesanya facing Yoel Romero. Two big fights, two different weight classes. D. Hodges said, as long as you got Showtime, you got it. You know, Showtime PBC, Top Rank. I look forward to stepping in there for potentially two of the big fights this 2020, man. You know, we got Wild and Fury coming up next month, and also you have potentially, I hope it stays here in the U.S., Vasily Lomachenko facing Teofimo Lopez for the unification of the lightweight division. That's going to be huge. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, I truly believe that Teofimo Lopez can go in there and stop Vasily Lomachenko. I do feel he has enough firepower and cardio and punching power to go in there and put Vasily in trouble. I do. I feel that's going to be a great fight. And I always said that I thought Vasily was a bit overhyped, going off his resume and off what it seems. It doesn't take extreme education and a master's degree in boxing to know that if you fought that many fights in the amateur, you're using the same body, people. You basically using the same functional mechanics. So you know what, as I do, Father Time waits for nobody. So the wear and tear that you're putting on in sparring, match after match after match, to be a two-time Olympian, and then come over here and try to say, I want to be world champion in 2 fights, and to be praised the way he is with just 15 fights. But people not seeing that Vasily Lomachenko is much older than what you see in his aesthetics as a fighter. He has much more wear and tear on his body than people are willing to accept. You in denial. Chill. Do a live chat as well. Be watching. I'll be there. You got to catch him, Loma. Yeah, Lomachenko, I will give him this. Outside of boxing, Lomachenko is one of those multi-talented fighters. He does practice other forms of martial arts. From what I understand, I've actually seen it, you know, whether it's judo or grappling, wrestling or whatever. He's a bad dude. But when it comes to boxing, I just believe if he's to step in there with Teofimo Lopez, who's really on a mission to take over, like he says all the time, it's all about the takeover. It's gonna be a damn good fight, fans. You know what I'm saying? That's just gonna be. I've covered Teofimo on several occasions, man. I like him and his family. I think he's one of the most talented fighters. Just can't wait to see him go into this fight at lightweight. But I've been known for a long time that they was planning to move up to 140. When I was telling people that Teofimo smoked Regis Prograis, I wasn't playing. Regis Prograis is in the. I know I'm changing lanes, but that's what happens when you're shifting gears, right? You know, sometimes you got traffic and you just got to keep on moving. But Teofimo moving up to 140, Regis is not going to be there, thank God. But he's talking about going up there, getting in some Terrence Crawford. Come on, Regis. Come on, bro. Regis, you get hit too much, man. You need to work on your defense. You want to go up there and call out Terrence Crawford at 147. And hopefully Terrence Crawford give him the time of day, man. Hopefully that is the case. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm hoping that Terrence Crawford get us some play. Because Regis Prograis still have a name, Rougarou. He still has a solid, credible name in boxing. And I hope Terrence Crawford show him that AT&T. Link up. Sign the contract. Because that's going to be another L that Regis take. That's real. Now, when Teofimo come up to junior welterweight, guarantee you he's going to be champion. Guarantee it. But right now, the lightweight division is very hot. And unfortunately, Teofimo, regardless if he wins the belts from Vasily, I don't think he'll hang around to try to unify the division for the WBC. It'll be great if Devin Haney was still the champion. You know, we truly don't know who's going to be fighting for that lightweight WBC title. Two names popped up: Luke Campbell, the Olympian, who fought for the vacant against Vasily, and then we have Javier Fortuna. We don't know who the hell we're going to get when we talk about Javier Fortuna, but I know Luke Campbell is pretty solid name to be in the equation to fight for that vacant WBC lightweight title. Now, Devin Haney's in recess. By that time, I hope Devin Haney is full WBC super champion. I'm really hoping that Teofimo go in there and defeat Vasily Lomachenko so he can just be the franchise champion and go on about his business. And Lopez Sr. have a second thought, and they say, you know what? Let's make the fight with Devin Haney or whoever got the belt and see can you become undisputed at 135. That's what we want to see. If we're going to have all the dang pawns on the table, if it's a chess game, we want to make sure we take full advantage of this session. So if everything works out great and Teofimo is able to win these belts, the WBA, WBO, then I hope they say, you know what, my nutrition, I had a pretty decent weight cut. Let me try to go for this WBC and get it out. Let's go. D Hodges say all his wins came from pressure fighters. Teo got to box. If he go KO, it's over. Like I said before, I believe Teofimo Lopez has the patience and the offensive EDU. He's educated enough to know what type of fighter he's in there with, not to be reckless, not to just be going in there and saying, I'm going in there to risk it all. I never seen T.O. fight like that, to be honest. Like even with Mason Menard, Devin Haney knocked out Mason Menard in 9. Teofimo did it like in the first round, I believe, face first. I know we just talking about Mason Menard, but even with Diego Magdaleno, that was an exciting fight. And then we all saw the destruction. Oh my God. We all saw the destruction of Richard Comey. Damn. Did we actually believe? Look at my lives, y'all. I told you that stylistically, Richard Comey matched up well against Ray Beltran, right? I say, but when it comes to Teofimo Lopez, Richard Comey will have to come up with a whole different game plan because Teofimo knows how to move well, all that. I mean, look at how he does backflips in the ring. And he went in there and destroyed Richard Comey. Good dude, too. And, I got a video of his coach that I never even put out when I was in Texas. And I said, who are y'all projected opponents? He said, oh, we want Vasily Lomachenko. You know what I'm saying? We want to get this belt, and then we want to fight Vasily Lomachenko. So that's who they was thinking about. They wanted to fight. And it never happened because the two fighters who I took a picture of that night was Teofimo Lopez and the new champ Richard Comey when they were celebrating in the lobby over there in Frisco, Texas. And I was saying to myself, boy, if these two fight, it's going to be a problem because Teofimo Lopez is on the move, man. Put him down on that list of pound for pound, but he had problems with the Asian guy. I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Mashioto, I believe. Tall fighter, and I put a percentage of that on the fighter range and height for Teofimo. Even Teofimo said that, and also the personal problems that was going on that I also knew about long before it even hit to media. Like I had some exclusive times with Teofimo when I had the opportunity, and I know some pretty personal stuff that was going on with Teofimo with the family, his now wife and everything that may have been affecting him in that bout. I'm not just making this shit up, man. This real talk. Like Teofimo has some issues going on with that girl. that's now his wife at the time. So I believe Teofimo when he's saying he had personal problems going on, he wasn't totally focused. D Hodge saying Comey was better than him. You know, I still to this point, man, looking at that fight over and over again, I just couldn't understand how Richard Comey can get closed out the way he did in such strict fashion. Like I know Teofimo was going to give Richard Comey problems, but the way he was able to close in, it just didn't seem like it was real. Like I expect everything of Richard Comey to come out in that fight, for him to stand on everything, the country that he was fighting for, his freaking career. And when he got up, it reminded me of Kasazu and Zab Judah. It really did. It just reminded me he got up too quick in the moment. And shout out to the OG Zab Judah, man. That's all respect. But it just took me back to that moment immediately. It did, man. I say love T.O. Loma. I'm talking about Loma. I want him off that list. A lot of people have been speaking about Lomachenko being on that list, but he has so many people that is absolutely enamored with who he is as an individual. I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying? You cannot put too much credibility into these pound for pound lists. Like, have you been paying attention? Those of you that still tuned in, have you been paying attention to the individuals who've been getting Fighter of the Year and all these different types? SI, Ring Magazine, ESPN. It's so many different organizations that's giving these fighters Fighter of the Year, Fighter of the Decade. You know what I'm saying? And each time that you look across the board, they're not on the same sheet of music. It's somebody different. It's all about who's in the at the round table with these selective lists of names. Who's doing it non-biasedly and who's showing extreme favoritism. That is all of what you need to know about these pound for pound lists. Because there's no way in hell you can tell me Canelo Alvarez should be where he was at. And then Errol Spence has an accident, and somehow Naoya Norway monster, he's up there on the pound for pound list. And Terrence Crawford has been sitting in the same spot forever. 3 division, formerly undisputed. What is going on with this, man? And Monster, he just went the freaking distance with Nonito Donaire. And everybody was like, oh, he's the knockout king. He's this, he's that. Look at who he was knocking out. Juan Panjano, whatever his name is, like, he had been stopped before. How are you pushing this Japanese boxer up the freaking pound for pound list so fast? And then you got Errol Spence on there behind in Norway. And I know in one breath I can say, well, they're looking at the divisions, or how many divisions these people got. Okay, if that's the case, you're looking at the divisions. You also have to have the criteria to base it off the resume too, the fighters. And right now, to be honest, Canelo Alvarez, you're trying to tell me on the scale of pound for pound that Vasily Lomachenko's resume with 1 loss to Salido outweighs. I'm talking about, you trying to tell me Vasily Lomachenko heavies the scale much more than Canelo Alvarez, and both of these guys got 1 loss? Canelo Alvarez has more divisions than Vasily Lomachenko. How can Vasily still be at the top? Are we factoring in 2 gold medals? It's bullshit, man. That shit's bullshit, for real. Shaking my head, Wilder's the fighter of the decade. 10 years Wilder's been KOing people. Bombs or not. You know, I don't sit up here and call fighters bums, and I don't believe that the fighters that Deontay Wilder has been facing is nowhere in that classification. That's just me keeping a hundo. I believe in the heavyweight division, we can't use the language and say one punch can change it all. But then when you have someone like Deontay Wilder going on his 11th defense, been WBC champion for over 4+ years, you can't say the fighters that he's been facing all been subpar, marginal based fighters. If a punch is all it takes to change the game in the heavyweight division, then how can you classify a fighter fighting bombs when he's 42-0 with 41 knockouts? And also, you're talking about everybody that he's faced has been on the canvas, reclined under the lights. You know what I'm saying? Like the heavyweight division is much more different than the lighter divisions. Not everybody is built to step into the heavyweight division. That's why it sucks. You don't have enough quality opposition to go up here and take these heavy punches. That's why the division is a bit dense when it comes to quality opponents. Everybody can't be Deontay Wilder's 6'7", 6'8". In his case, can come in there at 209, 212, and face guys who outweigh him 30 and 40 pounds. You know what I'm saying? And still go in there and crush him. And then to Tyson Furies, who can come in here at 270 and have a style that is so insidious and sneaky and clever that he can go ahead and pick up the titles from Klitschko and be able to make a fighter unwilling to engage him and risk everything because they feel that he has just enough to be dangerous. You know, he can make a fight boring whenever he feels like it. That's what Tyson Fury is. He has the height, he has the body structure, and, you know, he has enough boxing skills to go up here and be a competitive name in the heavyweight division. So when it comes down to, you know, bums, I can't say it because the heavyweight division is one of those special classes you have to be in where you have to have everything together. When you think you have a chin, you don't have a chin. You know, F.A. Jogba, they're trying to raise him up. You know, it's this nightmare. And we all saw he faced a C-level fighter. And the weirdest thing happened, like seeing F.A. hurt his opponent and seeing his opponent wobble, and F.A. turns around and walked to the far side corner, the neutral corner, when his opponent never hit the canvas. And then the referee like, what are you doing? He comes back over and he ended up getting dropped. I look at all that when I see, is this guy going to be a heavyweight champion anytime soon? And I always check their age. Like, if they're in their 30s and this is happening to them, I'm just not sure if they're going to have enough wait time for the Deontay Wilders to quit boxing. Tyson Fury is only in his on the front side of freaking his 30s. Anthony Joshua, still young in the game. So you're looking at, when will the change of the guard actually happen in the heavyweight division? We truly don't know, man, because everybody's going to happen damn near the same time. And the ones that's up and coming, it's only a select few, to be honest. You know, it's only a select few heavyweights that are coming up through the ranks that's young enough to make a run and be able to pick up one of those titles. You know, we have potentially Daniel Du Bois. You know, we have the Andy Konoskis that's still in the hunt. Like I mentioned, F.A. Jogba. I mean, you have some names that's on the bottom, what they call it, the ground floor, that's making themselves up the chain to be a notable boxer. We'll see, man. Du Bois. Daniel Du Bois. That's a decade of facts. Appreciate it. I know there's not. I know they're not. That's what people say. Yeah, they always saying, you know, I said this before, how Deontay Wilder is coming to Floyd Mayweather when you want to think about paging forward on how people are going to show up to the fight to see him lose. He's at that state right now where next month it's a lot of people are going to return like they did the first time that he fought Tyson Fury. They're going to return to the scene of the crime because they feel like, hey, somehow, some way Tyson Fury was able to get off. Jack Reese was up there giving a 25 count, and he was able to make it back to his feet. Whatever. You have fans that's returning to the scene of the crime, y'all. They feel that Tyson Fury going to be the one. So they're doing the same thing that people did for Floyd Mayweather. They paying to see this man lose now. He's going on his 11th defense. They keep saying the same thing. He's fundamentally deprived, fragmented. He lacks the boxing basics to be a great boxer. And they just keep on getting these knockouts, right? Keep on getting the same freaking results. And it sucks. It sucks for them to see that over and over again. But now that Tyson Fury has decided to take the rematch, when he was coming off Tom Schwartz and freaking Otto Wally, he has 2 fights, not to mention a third in the WWE against Braun Strowman to let that cut heal up. So Tyson Fury is coming back in here, and his swan song is like he's gonna knock out Deontay in 2 rounds. 2 rounds. All right, I got it. We all got it. Just, we all got it, man. We seen the first fight, and we're gonna have people filing in on the 22nd. It's gonna be an amazing time. I love it for the sport of boxing. I'm glad that Tyson Fury came back, to see the Reaper. I'm happy. I'm really looking forward to meeting Tyson Fury in person for the first time. And believe me when I tell you this, I will ask Tyson Fury to his face. Was there any and every time that you kind of went back to that darkened place that you experienced during your hiatus when Deontay Wilder knocked you out in the 12th round? Which one was more darker? You being out in a place that you consider one of the darkest moments of your life, or when Deontay Wilder knocked you out in the 12th round and you was able to come back to life and finish the fight? Which one do you remember? Because he's already said he doesn't remember the knockout in the 12th round. He's given indications that he was concussed. When you got a fighter like the Bronze Bomber hits that hard with gloves on, through the gloves, around the gloves, straight down the middle, either way you want to look at it, it's severe consequences, period. 50 wins, 48 by KO. Well, it'll be 50 wins and 49 by KO, to be honest, that Hodges. But, Deontay has 42 victories. If he continue on that streak to 50, which is possible, bro. If he kind of take 3 fights, he's gonna have to take at least about 3 fights in a year, to kind of bump that up. You know what I'm saying? Win all of them. That'll even set him at 45. And from what I know, Deontay say he only has like 5 or 6 years left in the sport of boxing. If that's the case, he hasn't really taken a lot of punishment, except in that Ruiz Ortiz fight. So you thinking about King Kong fight that really didn't extract too much off his body. But just say, for instance, if he can kind of double up on some years and do 3 fights per year, you know what I'm saying? He may indeed be able to surpass that of Floyd Mayweather. But the only thing about it, during that time, he's going to have to really increase his value to the public. Because one thing why people say that about Floyd Mayweather is the money he made. That's why it's a lot that goes into saying somebody is the greatest of all time. It's a lot. And some of it, a portion of it, is not what they did in the ring. It's what they was able to accomplish out of the ring. The network, you know what I'm saying? The net worth and the performances. What's the viewers, the views? You know what numbers they put up, all that. So Deontay Wilder's presence is growing big time, and I believe when he come off this victory with Tyson Fury, it's only going to get that much more exposure to the boxing community, and I'm looking forward to it, y'all. I'm looking forward to it. Real talk. So that's all I got for now, people. I'm about to jump off this live. Be sure to follow me on all platforms. Subscribe to World Combat Sports, man. I built it from the ground up. I'm on the hunt, hungry. I need more support. I appreciate all of you that dropped in for my interview with Timothy Moten. Sparring partner Anthony Joshua leading up to the rematch with Andy Ruiz. Yes, would definitely be at some upcoming fight cards for 2020. I have an outstanding 2019. I cover boxing and MMA, grappling, whatever the case may be. And I know that's probably one of the reasons I'm not as big as I am, but it's all good. I'm not going to sacrifice to say, okay, I'm going to come a boxing channel when really I like talking about mixed martial arts also. So those of you that support World Combat Sports, appreciate it, man. Pass the word, subscribe to the channel. Turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports. Salute. Yeah, I appreciate that, Hodges, man. Thanks for dropping through. I appreciate that, man. Salute to you.